All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Libraries and Weight Rooms podcast. My name is DJ Ligori, and today we are on episode number 177. Hope everybody is off to a great 2025. I hope we have all set some lofty goals, and we are starting to chip away at those goals and making 2025 one of the best years of our lives. I know I have a lot of personal and both professional goals that are pretty big this year, and I can genuinely say with utilizing a lot of my tracking systems that I'm moving in the right direction. And so it's been off to a great start. And a couple minutes before this podcast, I was sitting here and I'm like, what do I want to talk about today? And for those of you who don't know, I write 3 emails a week to all of our Acres of Diamonds community. And we call these daily diamonds. And I basically tell like a fairly personal story and the lesson that story kind of taught me. And if you want to sign up for them, they're completely free. You can go to yourdailydiamonds.com. But one of the things that I do is I have this standing note in my phone. And anytime I learn something in a book or a podcast, anything, I put it in this note. And I call the note actually mental nutrients because it's nutrition for my mind. And this note is the longest note like of all time. I started making this note probably when I was in it was 2021. So it's like a 4-year-old note that I just keep adding to. And a lot of the notes that I take that I put into this document come from this guy named Carl Bryan. Carl Bryan is a business coach, and I believe he's the editor or the creator of the Six Figure Coach magazine. And so he writes an email. I don't know the frequency, but every week he sends out a couple emails to people who subscribe to his emails. And I subscribed to his emails a while ago, and I can genuinely say that his emails are the best emails out of anybody that I've ever subscribed to ever, hands down. The things that he says, he makes them very clear. He tells like funny stories in the beginnings. Yeah, I typically just read like the meat and potatoes of it, the lessons of it. And his one-liners, his quotes, the way he thinks is incredible. So I highly suggest if you are looking for a little bit more mental nutrients going into 2025, go over to, I think you can just go to carlbryan.com and you can subscribe right to his emails and his newsletter. Absolutely phenomenal. They're quick reads too, so you're not going to spend a lot of time. But one of his emails last week, it was a couple weeks ago, was about love. And what I wanted to do in today's podcast is I wanted to read this email to you because without getting too personal, I have some goals this year around love. All right. And it's something that I think a lot about. It's actually one of the first modules that we actually taught people when I was 23, 24 years old. We created a 6-module course or program that was the first program we had ever created for Acres of Diamonds, and we actually ran a middle school through it. We ran about 10 students who were in middle school and high school through this program. And the modules were culture, connection, toughness, roles, visualization, and love. Love was the last one. And love has an interesting tone because there is like external love, so people that you love, whether it's your family, your friends, or there's internal love, right, when it comes to self-love. And so I actually have tattooed on my wrist, love you, which is in my handwriting, and it's a reminder for me to, love myself every once in a while. And so I want to read this email today about love because it, hands down, is probably the best email that I've ever read. And so let me read it to you. So Carl Bryan starts the email out saying this: Daddy, it's not that nobody's perfect. It's that everybody is perfect. My daughter, and so Carl Bryan's daughter said this to him. When my daughter said that to me, it brought a tear to my eye, and I made her repeat it, so I heard exactly what she said. So then he went on to explain this experiment. All right. A group of professional people posed this question to a group of 4 to 8-year-olds. And here are their answers to this question. So here's the question that this professional group of people asked these 4 to 8-year-olds. What does love mean? So here's what their answers were, these little kids. Love is what's in the room with you at Christmas if you stop opening presents and just listen. Bobby, 7 years old. When my grandmother got arthritis, she couldn't bend over and paint her toenails anymore. So my grandfather does it for her all the time, even when his hands got arthritis too. That's love. Rebecca, age 8. Love is when mommy sees daddy on the toilet and she doesn't think it's gross. Mark, age 6. When someone loves you, the way they say your name is different. You just know that your name is safe in their mouth. Billy, age 4. Love is when you go out to eat and give somebody most of your French fries without making them give you any of theirs. Chrissy, age 6. Love is when mommy makes coffee for my daddy and she takes a sip before giving it to him to make sure that it tastes okay. Danny, age 8. If you want to learn to love better, you should start with a friend who you hate. Nika, age 6. During my piano recital, I was on stage and I was scared. I looked at all the people watching me and saw my daddy waving and smiling. He was the only one doing that. I wasn't scared anymore. Cindy, age 8. My mommy loves me more than anybody. You don't see anyone else kissing me to sleep at night. Claire, age 6. Love is when mommy sees daddy smelly and sweaty and still says he is handsomer than Robert Redford. Chris, age 7. Love is when your puppy licks your face even after you left him alone all day. Mary Ann, age 4. I know my older sister loves me because she gives me all her old clothes and has to go out and buy new ones. Lauren, age 4. And this last one, this is actually the winner of this. I don't know if it was like a contest, but this one's pretty damn good. The winner was a 4-year-old child whose next door neighbor was an elderly gentleman who had recently lost his wife. Upon seeing the man cry, the little boy went into the old gentleman's yard, climbed onto his lap, and just sat there. When his mother asked what he had said to the neighbor, the little boy said, "Nothing. I just helped him cry." So I want to reiterate that's all from Carl Bryan. None of that is my content. Carl Bryan was the one who wrote this email. And I remember reading this email. And the first thought that came into my head was there's still a lot of good in the world. I think with the way we've been raised now with news and social media, and I've used the term mental McDonald's a lot before on this podcast, we can see so many bad things, right? We can see murder. We can see all the bad things that go on overseas. We can see all of the politics that people don't agree with and the nasty things that people might say because they don't agree with these things. And people can be really mean to each other. And we sometimes highlight a lot of what bleeds, it leads. And we highlight the 1% that's painful and that's entertaining and that gets our heart pumping and our blood flowing. When at the end of the day, there's still some pretty good stuff out there. And sometimes we might not see it, and sometimes we might not be exposed to it. And we can forget about it. And we can just live in a world of that fearful 1% and think that, people are out to get us and we have a victim mentality and things aren't genuine, things aren't good, when really there's some other things that we also can focus on. There's some really good stuff out there. And it's probably a challenge to actually go out and find it, right? We actually have to put some effort into finding these good things and experiencing them and thinking about them. And I think you live a lot more beautiful and a lot more peaceful of a life if you do find them. Finding this email was an example of that. All right. So I wanted just to read this email out to everybody to remind us that there is a lot of good out there. right? And 2025 can be filled with a lot of good, and it can be filled with a lot of love. And listening to these young boys and girls between the ages of 4 and 8 explain what love is, I think brings us all back to that inner child that's within all of us. I think we can forget sometimes that we all started out as a 4-year-old. Or, well, obviously we started out as a little even younger than a 4-year-old, but eventually we became 4 years old, and then we became 8 years old. And so what did we think about what love was at that moment, right? I can think about, the way my parents interacted together, and they're still married 30 plus years later. I can think about the way my grandparents interacted. I can think about all the people that I saw who loved one another, and the people who loved me, and the people who I loved and still love today. And so it's a very powerful word that I think we all can create our own definition for. Some of us might have good experiences with love. Some of us might not have that great experiences with love. Yet I think this email can all bring us back to the human element of love, that, the secret to life is the people within that life. I heard a quote a couple of days ago. It's not what happens with people, it's what happens between people. So maybe there's a way that we can bring more love into 2025. Maybe there's a way that we can bring a little bit more kindness, a little bit more compassion, self-love, right? Maybe go get a tattoo of your handwriting on somewhere on your body that says love you. That's what I did. So I just wanted to have this episode be about love. I thought it was such a powerful email. I literally read it, and I emailed Carl Bryan right back and just said, this has got to be the best email I think I've ever read. It just really hits you in the heart, and it reminds us that love is probably the most powerful thing that any of us can focus on when it comes to living a beautiful life, a smart, a strong, a healthy, and a confident one. So again, I want to make sure people realize this is all Carl Bryan stuff. I just thought that this would be a very, very important thing to get out into the world, especially as we kick off 2025. So thank you guys so much for your time and your energy and your attention to this episode. I hope it was valuable. If you enjoyed it, give us a follow, give us a like. We got some cool changes coming in the next couple of weeks to this podcast. I'm just waiting to kind of organize some things with it. So I'm still just going to keep going with the Libraries and Weight Rooms podcast until I'm ready to kind of make those changes, yet all of it will still be on the same channel. So thank you guys so much for all of your support throughout 2024, and let's go have a hell of a 2025. Thank you guys so much, and we'll talk to you soon.